Good morning, one and all. I'm still standing on Signal Hill, and it's beautiful here. I want to send you a great thought for the day. We're in 2 Samuel chapter 6, and it's a beautiful story of David's great intention to move the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, where he wanted it to be housed. And David met with absolute disaster. He did it all wrong. Put it on a cart. Uzzah reached out, touched it when the ark was looking like it was going to fall off. Uzzah got struck dead, and it was a real mess. In 1 Chronicles, we read the same account, but with the addition that David, after this, went and he read the book of the law. That's a good thing for him to do. And while he was reading, he suddenly realized, man, I did it all wrong. So eventually he goes back to the ark. He's prepared himself to do it right. He's got the priest standing in the front ready to carry the ark to Jerusalem, and everything goes fantastically. David has this unbelievable time of celebration, and as he walks in front of the Ark of the Covenant, he has this insatiable desire just to worship God spontaneously, uninhibited. Some of the people kind of laughed at it and thought, is that our king? Look at him, he's so undignified. Look what he is doing. Even his own wife, Michal, who scorned at him, and she laughed at him and said, aren't you embarrassed at your behavior? And she paid the price for her cynicism later on. But David worshipped God intensely. If there were 2 things that David was known for, the first one would be that David was known as being a man of war. He was the one who led the Israelites into battle against the Philistines. He's the one who won great individual battles against Goliath and against others. And so many people would have just seen David as being this incredible man of war, somebody who was leading the armies into the battle. But David was also a man of worship. You see, he was warfaring on the one hand and worshipping on the other. That's a good thing to do, because we all know that we're in a battle and we don't fight against flesh and blood. We fight against the principalities and the powers of darkness. And on the other hand, as we fight and we make war and we win our battles, or lose a few, win a few against those powers, we need to be strong in worship as well. I love the thought that David was the same person fighting and the same person on his knees winning his battles in worship. Have a look at the beautiful Psalms that David wrote. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. This is the same David who was out there fighting with Goliath. David wrote the most amazing worship songs. He would probably sit as a kid on the hillside looking into the stars, and he didn't understand who or what or why, but he just knew that inside of him there was this intense desire to worship God. I wonder today, do we have that same intense desire? We know we have to fight. We've got battles to be won in the spirit realm and in the physical realm too. But I wonder if worship isn't going to be a great thing for us to begin to do far more intensely and far more with greater anticipation of what God can do as we just spend time worshiping Him. David's intensity in war and in worship is something that he will forever be remembered for. I wonder if we shouldn't take a leaf out of his book and worship God. He worshiped God. He was uninhibited. We're so inhibited, aren't we? We're afraid of what people are going to say about us if we worship more intensely. Let's stretch ourselves a little bit. And let's worship God with a greater sense of desire and intensity, so that at the end of the day, the warfare will certainly be helped by the worship. I want you to listen to a song that we sang in church a couple of weeks back. It's called The Hymn of Heaven, and it's a beautiful song. It just reminds us that in heaven one day, we're going to spend a lot of time worshiping God. We'll be at the throne. We won't have to look through a glass darkly anymore when we stand in His presence, when we can only imagine what God has done right now, but one day we'll see it in reality. And when that happens, let me tell you people, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to worship. You're going to worship. You're not going to ask lots of questions. You're not going to have to say, right, God, I want you to answer for why certain things happen to me. Not at all. You're going to be so flat on your face in adoration and worship of God. Listen as Chad and John are sing this beautiful, beautiful song to you today. Thanks, guys. Have a fantastic day. Cheers.
And how I long to breathe the air of heaven, where pain is gone and mercy fills the streets, to look upon the one who bled to save me and walk with him for all eternity. And there will be a day when all will bow before him, and there will be a day when death will be no more, standing face to face with he who died and rose again. Holy, holy is the Lord. And every breath we prayed in desperation, the songs of faith we sang through doubt and fear. And in the end, we'll see that it was worth it when he returns to wipe away our tears. And there will be a day when all will bow before him, and there will be a day when death will be no more, standing face to face with he who died and rose again. Holy, holy is the Lord. And there will be a day when all will bow before him, and there will be a day when death will be no more, standing face to face with he who died and rose again. Holy, holy is the Lord. And on that day, we join the resurrection and stand beside the heroes of the faith. And with one voice, 1,000 generations sing, worthy is the Lamb who was slain. And on that day, we join the resurrection and stand beside the heroes of the faith. And with one voice, 1,000 generations sing,